A very pleasant day to everyone present here. I am Nagatarun and my register number is 20MIS0205, and here it is the DA of Software Construction and Maintenance subject. Now moving on further, what are the topics for our DA? I would like to mention about the software development lifecycle and the software construction and its importance and relevance, necessity of the software construction. Then I would also mention about the testing of the software. Okay, on moving further, what is software construction? Software construction is a process where we create a meaningful and working software using the implementation of verification, validation, and coding, and also the unit testing of the software. Now, majorly, the process of software construction limits with the three parts, where firstly, we will design the construction that we would like to implement. Then we construct the code and implement it. Then we test the code and sort out what are all the bugs that are present in it. Then we would like to after the installation of it, we will then provide a maintenance support. Then moving on further, so why, what, and when? These are the three questions I ever questioned myself before starting of anything that I would like to learn new. Then, as usual, so as we see a picture here, which consists of a builder and a few trucks, which seems like we are going to construct something. So, why we are gonna construct something? Because in order to enhance our lives with the most modern technologies, we implement them and then we make it into a fruitful solution. So what do we do in the software construction? That it's already discussed that we design and then construct and test the code in the software construction and maintenance. So when we are going to perform it, on moving further, we would like to see it. So firstly, in the software development cycle, here we can find that uh, design and construction phase is available. So here for the question when, we understand that it is performed at this stage of the software development life cycle. Then firstly, what is this software development life cycle is? It is a cycle where the complete life cycle of a software product is being done, because it is a pre-planned activity and it gives a complete meaning and a very meaningful work to the software. So what do we do here? Firstly, we will do the feasibility study for the software. So before a company accepts a software project, they just wanted to first make a feasibility study through which they can identify whether they can do it within the stipulated time and the analyzed cost, and their effort is enough with the working staff to perform this project. Then, if it is feasible for them to proceed, they will go with the requirements gathering. So, what is this requirements gathering? It is a phase where all the requirements that are mentioned by the stakeholders and the users are being analyzed using the various techniques. It might be interviewing technique or elicitation techniques or storyboarding techniques and many. Now, here at the end of the requirements collection, an SRS document is prepared, which is very helpful for the further stages in the software development lifecycle. Then, here we do a project plan, which is needed to be done to finish the software product within the stipulated time. So we analyze what are the things required in the requirements, then we analyze it again and we refilter it so that we can find out at what are the things that can be performed. Then after completion of these requirements, we generally go for architecture, where we analyze the architecture for the system, that is the software product that we are going to develop. Then It is, as we said previously, the design, construction, and testing are the major phases in the software development and the software construction and maintenance. Now, here we can see that the software construction and maintenance, the design is performed where whatever all the designs like it is suitable for the software project is being analyzed here, and the design people will make a particular design for the product. Then it is being shared to the developers who develop the code, and then they give it to the testers to test it. Here we can analyze the software where all the required features are being embedded in it and it works very fine to the users. Then it is implemented as we seen before as well. Then we close and maintenance. So what is this maintenance phase? Here, once after the software is being installed to the customer, there might arise a few issues because we cannot assure that the customer uses it in a particular way and we are not sure of it, how the customer uses using the system. So at that time, the customer may face a few issues. In order to address them and in order to solve them, we have a maintenance team where they ensure all the activities are going fine in this stage. Then we are going to see software testing lifecycle. Before moving on to the software testing lifecycle, I would like to mention a few importance of the software construction and maintenance. It is very relevant because at the lower level testing, like unit testing, is happened in the design and construction phase itself before the testing stage. And also, as when we are going to make a modifications to the software in the constructions, there it is involved in the high volumes of configuration items, through which we can say that the software that we are developing is at the high end for the software configuration management. Also, we are going to code it in a good way that we follow the standards so that we doesn't have any issues with the further code. Then now we move on to the software testing life cycle where the requirement analysis is done for the testing, like where here the test cases are planned to that, so that like what are the test cases that can be developed for the project. Like for example, let us consider an example of an e-commerce website. So in this e-commerce website, first of all, we take a login module where the user need to enter his username, his password, and a captcha. Then he used to submit it. So here we can perform various test cases like we can give a test case like a good username can be given, then a wrong password. Also, a good username, a good password, and a wrong captcha. Also, we can give all three as correct, all three as incorrect, and we should see that the system gives the perfect error message for the user where if they are making some mistake. And the software testing lifecycle is intended to make the user feel very comfortable and get to know the mistake whatever he performs while interacting with the software. So next we move on to the test planning, where the design test cases are being implemented. Then the test design, where the test cases are designed as per the modules. And then next coming to the test environment setup, it is a phase where we try to implement the testing. Like the setup for the testing is being done here, where we need to have a laboratory for testing, or whatever all the things that we require for testing is being set up here, like the softwares, whatever we require. Like for example, we can take many tools are there available, like which will help us to perform the testing. Those kind of things, tools, all are there here. Then next we do the test execution where we give the test cases to the software and then test it. Then we close the test. That is nothing but test closure. Then moving further, what are the software testing types? It is a thing that I would like to stress about, where firstly, here we can see it's mainly divided into the functional testing and the non-functional testing. Here, as we already said, the unit testing, it is a low-level testing. It is performed at the developer's side itself. So whenever a developer develops a module, we can find that he himself tests the file so that whether we can first itself find out whether the code is running or not in a manner. If it is not being running well, then the test developer himself will make a modification so that the code executes. So like in the unit testing, we can find it's a part of white box testing and gorilla testing. Then we are going to perform the integration testing. So what is integration testing? From the word itself, we are most conveniently able to tell that we are gonna integrate something. So what is that integration? Generally, the task is divided in the software industry where the people will divide their work, and many people like the many employees will perform different set of activities and they develop different modules. So here the main problem comes when we integrate the modules, because an individual modules works fine in the cases, but when we are gonna integrate the system, then we might face some errors. So coming on the integration testing, here we majorly have two types of testing in the integration, where the top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. Firstly, we are going with top-down approach. The top-down approach is a testing white box testing method where firstly a topmost level module is being selected. Then we try to integrate it with a dummy modules called as stubs. So these are the dummy modules which are being attached to the major modules, and they are tested whether the modules are working fine or not. Then in this we are going to test we are going to append the modules to the higher module when all of the below level modules are being tested fine. Then next comes the bottom up approach, where in this bottom up approach we find that the lower level modules are being integrated and tested using the support of drivers, which are also dummy modules, so that we can find out what is the error and then integrate it in a proper situation. So the benefit of integration testing is that we can identify which part of the modules are giving trouble to us and which has the bugs and which are very critical, and we can classify the bugs again so that we can immediately fix the emergency bugs like emergency fixes and also the major bugs. So the integration testing, we have stubs and drivers, in which stubs are little costlier, but if we go with the top-down integration technique, we can get a skeletal structure of the software. Also, we also have a testing called as gray box testing in the integration testing technique, where few modules are performed under the gray box testing. It's a mixture of top-down and the bottom-up integration testing, where few modules are integrated using the top-down approach and few modules are integrated using the bottom-up approach. Then we here comes to the system testing. A system testing is a testing where we test whether our complete system after integration works fine. Here we perform end-to-end testing, smoke testing, sanity testing, happy path testing, and monkey testing, where these all testings help us to ensure that the system is working fine. Then we do perform acceptance testing. So what is this acceptance testing? Acceptance testing is a testing which is mainly consists of alpha testing and beta testing. So here the alpha testing is that it is done in the presence of developer after the integration and the performing of the system testing to test whether the system is working fine or not. Then moving further, we are going to to the beta testing, where in the beta testing, the software is being released to the few selected customers so that they usually experience it in their devices, and then through them we are going to generate a report of bugs, and we are going to clear those bugs. Like we are in the sense of we are talking about the developer and tester. So these people again will get the report of bugs and they clear it and they follow the procedures, then make it again in the normal way by fixing those bugs. Here, these all part comes under the functional testing. So the functional testing is something that is intended to check whether all the functionalities of the system is working fine or not. Also, it helps to maintain the construction phase happens in a very good manner. And now we are on the other hand side where we need to see the non-functional testing, which are very important after it is being released to the customer, because here we see security testing, then performance testing, usability testing, and compatibility testing. These are the things. Even if we develop a system in a complete and full-fledged manner, if this system doesn't have any of these things, then it is waste, because these unless and until these testings are being performed, we cannot analyze the strength of the system. So here we just see the security testing. For example, here let us consider a banking application. See that a user deposits some 1 crore rupees in his account. Unless and until we perform a security testing where a penetrating testing is a part of it, we can assure the customer that our system is fully tested and it is little far from the data breaches and can sustain the user's information safely. And now comes the performance testing. Let us consider the same banking example. So what is the performance testing? Here we have many types like load testing, stress testing, soak testing, volume testing, endurance testing, and scalability testing. Here we can find that these testings are ensures the performance of the software is working fine and it's giving at its maximum inputs. It tries to give the correct output. So we are going in the scenario in the banking application. Let us assume if it is an international bank where many users are logging in at the same time from various parts of the world to their account, so that the website shouldn't crash, it should be available for the customers. So here we can see the load testing is that where when many users are coming onto the system at a time, like they are sending many requests to the server shouldn't crash and it should provide the correct information to the customer. Coming to the stress testing, it is that to what level that the system can bear the stress on the server, where if the users continuously send requests, so at max to what extent of level the system can maintain the correctness of the system and give the correct response to the customer. And then we are gonna see the usability testing. So this usability testing covers majorly exploratory testing, cross-browser testing, accessibility testing. So here we can see that these are the testing techniques which are very helpful to ensure that the system, like the software that we have developed, works in many of the browsers. Like the cross-browser testing is that various across the various browsers, the software works fine. Also, we need to explore the software, like every aspect of the software is being tested, and the accessibility testing is that whether it is we might generally while coding we might give the some private keys where it shouldn't be accessible to the end user. Some of the things need to be in a private mode so that their data will be safe. All those kind of things will be checked in this testing. And also a compatibility testing. So what is this compatibility testing all about? In the real world, like we see many of the customers, use various kinds of products, like which is having might be different processors, different RAMs, or different storage kinds. In many ways, it is completely different. So, our system should be compatible with many of those devices. So, here the compatibility testing is done so that we can give a minimum compatible devices, like what are the minimum specifications that are required to run our software. So, it is a compatibility testing is another useful method of testing where we can say that our software is compatible with these devices, so that with these configurations, minimum configuration that is specified, we can test the systems in various operating systems and various browsers. So here the compatibility is required to be satisfied. So before this, in a simple way, the software testing is basically classified into two types. One is black box testing and the other is a white box testing, where the black box testing is the thing where simply the code is checked by passing the input whether we are getting the output or not. And the white box testing is a testing technique where uh, every possible functions, loops, and variables in the code are being tested individually by passing the many test cases. And at last, I would like to conclude my topic, and I thank our professor for providing this wonderful opportunity to express my view on these topics. Thank you.